All right, Bears fans, it's time for free agency, and we are here going position by position for all of the Bears' needs as this shopping season is open for business starting right now. All right, Nika, are you ready to go shopping, everybody?
Sure. Where are we shopping at?
Well, I think we should start with the Bears' offensive needs and then turn our attentions to defense, because that defensive list is going to be quite the laundry list of needs.
All right.
But first, I want to start with a tweet from Tom Pelissero from the NFL Network. Good old Tom. And this is a three-parter, by the way, so bear with me as I get through this. But he says, a subtle but significant change when the NFL's free agent negotiating window opens Monday. For the first time, clubs may conduct one video or phone call up to 1 hour with up to 5 free agents, rather than communicating strictly through their agents as in past years. Wow.
Ooh, so it's a value package.
It's like the hard sell, right? Like
Yes.
Is Ben Johnson going to be on these calls being like, hey, you want me to take my shirt off? I'll take it off right now.
Yes, that's why they have 5 of them. Just
I mean,
for that.
I joke, I jest a little bit, but I mean, I've always felt that because Ben Johnson is the coach now, we might attract a higher tier of free agent. I know that might be wishful thinking on my part, because nothing speaks more than the almighty dollar.
Of course.
But I would like to think that players, in their heart of hearts, when it comes to the football game, would enjoy playing for Ben Johnson.
I hope so.
Anyways, well, that was interesting. He goes on to give a little bit of a history explanation here about how the Steelers proposed this rule and it was quietly approved last spring. Each call can last a maximum of 1 hour, a positive for everyone involved, including the players, who will actually get to talk to coaches and others before making life-changing decisions.
That's a great idea. I mean, we do so much through Zoom nowadays. Why would this be any different?
None of us accept a job offer from someone without meeting and talking with them first and getting vibes.
Absolutely.
Like, it's so weird to think that the NFL has had to do this like this for years. Like, that's weird.
Welcome to the modern world.
Clubs were reminded of the change ahead of the negotiating window opening Monday. A club may conduct one video or phone call for no longer than 1 hour with no more than 5 prospective unrestricted free agents. The player's certified agent must be a participant on the call. During the one permitted video or phone call, a represented player or unrepresented player is permitted to communicate with any member of the club.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Tom, for that rule reminder update before free agency kicks off.
That's a good reminder. Yeah. Okay. So how many players do Bears going to have on one Zoom call?
Yeah, to circumvent the rules, you mean?
Yes.
Good call. Well, we might have some overlapping team free agents here. We'll have to see.
All right.
Maybe someone's just visiting a friend in town and having morning coffee while the Ryan Poles happens to call.
Oh, could happen.
Wow, what a coincidence that would be.
Wow.
Especially
I like
if
that.
they have the same agent or something. Wouldn't that even be a coinky-dink?
Yeah.
Oh. Collusion. It's happening, folks. No. One of the things that's really funny about this whole free agent period in the NFL is there's so many players, right? You know, there's 700 players almost in professional baseball. There's almost 1,700 in professional football across all the 32 teams.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, and there's a lot of opinions out there about all of these players,
Of
and
course.
not everyone always sees things the same way. And I was reminded of that as I was doing research for this segment. I was on Sports Illustrated's website. They have a whole Bears section, of course, and I was reading an article, and the title of it was Chicago Bears Free Agency Big Board, Top 5 Targets at Every Position of Need. And this was written by Gene Chamberlain. And to the side of it, on the right-hand column where they were recommending me more Sports Illustrated articles, was a Chicago Bears Free Agency Wish List Key Targets at Positions of Need article by Jerry Markarian.
Okay.
So the funny thing is they were listing completely different players at some of the same positions of need even when there was like 5 players deep, you're like, whoa, why is this guy ranked 2 on his list and then not even in the top 5 on this guy's list? Like, this is bizarre, you know? Like, there's that much difference of opinion out there when it comes to these free agents. But look, there are some top tier free agents, there are some mid tier free agents, and there are some low tier free agents. And of course, nobody knows for sure how any of this is going to pan out. It's just like the NFL draft almost all over again.
Of course. And coaching matters, you know.
Well, having said that, the Bears, we might as well start on offense because the Bears have actually already addressed a position of need that was unexpected position of need, and that is the position of center. The man who hikes the ball to the quarterback, a very important position, also directing traffic amongst the offensive line members. And it was looking to be a very expensive center free agent class, and that is proven true already because the Bills re-signed one of their own for a 4-year, $52 million contract. That was going to be...
That's a lot.
And that's for like a mid-tier center.
Oh, boy.
So the Bears kind of preempted that and traded a 5th-round draft pick to the New England Patriots for Garrett Bradbury, who they had signed to a 2-year contract. They're letting him go early. They're moving one of their offensive linemen to center, and so they no longer had a need for Garrett Bradbury, according to this. And so the Bears pick up a center, a veteran center. He's 30 years old, and he has 1 year on his contract left. If you look at his Pro Football Focus, a couple things stand out about him that are likable. He was first in not allowing any penalties last year, or committing any penalties, I should say. And he also allowed no sacks.
Oh, okay. And how many games did he play?
He played in all 17.
Nice.
Yeah, and including all the playoff games and then the Super Bowl. Now, the Super Bowl was not pretty for the Patriots, and they got kind of pushed around. But, I mean,
it's the one thing, issue.
Yeah, I want to point out, anyone that's, like, underwhelmed by this or wanted us to get Tyler Linderbaum, I understand. I kind of wanted us to get Tyler Linderbaum, too, but it looks like he's going to be super expensive, and we got a lot of needs on this team right now.
We got to shop on the clearance section at the moment.
You got to go to the Walmart bin, and you got to, like, dig through it and find those 2 or 3 gems in the rough, right?
Yes.
Not at every position, but at some of these positions. Center was an unfortunate necessary need after Drew Dahlman retired, and so it is what it is. It's an important position. Our center played in the Super Bowl last year. It's not the end of the world to anyone that's crying foul or underwhelmed by this. I think they've got bigger problems. Speaking of which, Ozzie Trapillo unfortunately had that injury in the Green Bay playoff game. He's looking to be out almost the entire season. I see some reports projecting him to miss 6 games. I think that's being very generous considering the injury he had.
This is just speculative. We don't know how he's going to come back, what state he's going to... I mean, he's going to be obviously cured or not injured 100%. Any longer, but what kind of player he's going to be, you know?
Correct. And so it's in my view that the Bears would be in their best interest to get a replacement for him, at least short term. You know, if you want to wait and see if he comes back and can be the old Ozzie Trapillo again,
it's great. Fantastic.
That would be amazing, you know, and I don't think anyone would be sad about that.
We got to go for depth.
But right now, we need to have our line in place, and I don't think we should rely on the draft to get a left tackle. And all of a sudden, it's almost like the football gods gifted us a left tackle because Taylor Decker from the Detroit Lions, after 10 years of service, asked for and was granted his release by the Lions. And that's important because Taylor Decker knows Ben Johnson. You know, he played for him already for a few years when he was offensive coordinator, knows his system. He's a 10-year veteran. Like I said, he's not the type of guy at 31 years old that's going to want to maybe learn everything from the ground up again. Not saying he won't or wouldn't do it for the money, but when you have opportunities or different options, we'll see. I think he could be very easily a Bear. And
is he on the shopping list for the Bears?
I think so. He would be not like a super costly left tackle, but there's not a lot of left tackles to choose from either.
Okay.
As far as bringing Braxton Jones back for the Bears, I'm a negative on that.
Okay.
That's a hard no for me. So I'm all in favor of signing Taylor Decker and then just going. That's your line. Your offensive line's in place.
Okay.
One thing we forgot to mention about Garrett Bradbury, by the way, is he was Joe Thuney's college roommate. I'm not making that up. So there is a connection there. So if our offensive line next year is Taylor Decker, Joe Thuney, Garrett Bradbury, Jonah Jackson, and Darnell Wright, I would be totally okay with that.
Of course, you'd be jumping for joy.
I would. Yeah. I mean, especially look at where we were before the free agency trading period last year. We did not have Joe Thuney. We did not have Drew Dahlman. We did not have Jonah Jackson. So, yeah, I think we'd be in really good shape. And the sooner the better to get that line in the building and starting to gel. It's a brand new season. It's a brand new team. It's a brand new line.
Of course.
So let's get them in the building. Let's get them working together. It's what makes our offense go. All right, well, that covers the offensive line needs, and there's really not a lot of other needs for the Bears on offense, luckily enough. But I do want to say this is one of my dark horses for the Bears that I think nobody has their eye on. But if I'm Ben Johnson, I think he might be near the top of my free agency wish list.
Who's that?
I am talking about Rashid Shaheed, everybody. The wide receiver / kick return, punt return specialist for the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. We saw him be such a huge impact against the 49ers when he returned the opening kickoff of that playoff game, the divisional round game on Saturday night before the Bears lost to the Rams at home on Sunday. Rashid Shaheed was a trade deadline acquisition for the Seahawks, and he is now a free agent. And he just strikes me as the kind of guy that is a Ben Johnson
project,
likable player. He's not necessarily a project, I would say. I would say he could easily step up and become your new slot receiver and your new number 3 wide receiver with Luther Burden and Rome Odunze.
How expensive is his free agency?
Well, he might be a little bit more expensive, but I don't hate the move because of the fact that he gives you also a special teams element at kick return and punt return without putting your number 1 or number 2 wide receiver at risk, if that makes sense. You know, like one of the things you don't want to do is put Rome Odunze, for example, at kick returner, because if he gets injured doing that, then you kind of have egg on your face.
Yes.
But if you have your number 3 wide receiver doing that stuff and he's even better at it than those guys, then that's what you want. And Rashid Shaheed is a specialist, and yeah, it's a toy, but I don't think we should be surprised to see Ben Johnson maybe go after some toys, Nika. I mean, he's an offensive-minded guy. He doesn't necessarily think like he wants to score 50 points a game. He doesn't want to like be in these 19 to 17 nail biters, not week after week. So I think they should prioritize maybe going after a weapon / toy like this. It would be a great move to bring in.
Okay. So that's offensive line.
Either way, though, I expect the Bears to maybe go after another wide receiver to replace DJ Moore, even though it's probably low on the shopping list right now. Another guy to keep your eyes on is Tyquan Thornton from the Kansas City Chiefs. He is also very, very fast. And Tyreek Hill as well from the Dolphins. A little older and probably more expensive. Not quite as expensive as Rashid Shaheed, but I don't think worth the extra money either.
Okay. There was another name floating around, Romeo Doubs.
For wide receiver.
Yes.
As Packers fans will call him Hands. He famously dropped the onside kick in against the Bears in that week. What was it, 16 comeback win? Wow. Such a long time ago, and yet
we still talk about
it. I don't know if that's good, bad PTSD, or if it's, hey, come play against the Packers now kind of motivation. Maybe.
All right.
We'll see. All right, Nika. Well, without further ado, I think we got to turn our attentions to the defense because the list is long. We got needs at defensive tackle, defensive end, linebacker, cornerback, and safety. I mean, I think I just named every single position on the defense. Here's from ESPN in their free agency preview article posted on Sunday. The Chicago Bears freed up around $17 million in cap space with the DJ Moore trade, which they will need in free agency to aid the defense. Yes, they could use pass rush help, but I don't sense Chicago is desperate for a splashy pass rusher. Much will depend on price. Interior rush help could be the way to go to replace Tremaine Edmonds, who they have cut. Alex Anzalone is a name to watch. Defensive coordinator Dennis Allen was with him in New Orleans, and he's good in coverage. At safety, my sense is the Bears will attempt to re-sign Kevin Byard III over the weekend, but will let Jaquan Brisker walk. That's what they said about the Bears for their free agency, and it's all defense, and they didn't really talk about any of the offensive things we just mentioned.
That's fine because the defense is the gaping hole that the Bears need to fix before the next season starts. Indeed.
And the pass rush specifically is, I think, what makes a lot of the defense work. It's hard to tell and rate and judge your linebackers and your secondary when you're getting like no pressure on the quarterback.
Right.
And week after week after week last year, we just saw like no pressure, no pressure, and we kind of correctly predicted that maybe they would save some of the scheming for the playoffs, and they did. They brought more blitzes and more packages and things like that, exotic type coverages, but I digress. It wasn't enough in the end. We need help. Now, the big rumor hitting the airwaves on Sunday was that sources, Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter is reportedly being shopped around by the Eagles, and 5 teams are interested, and they are 4 NFC teams and 1 AFC team, and that AFC team is the Raiders, but the Seahawks, 49ers, Bears, and Packers. Wow. 4 of the 7 playoff teams in the NFC calling the Eagles another playoff team about Jalen Carter. A lot of people have red flags about this, like why the hell would the Eagles want to be getting rid of this guy? Well, I might have an answer.
Oh, what is it?
December 4th, 2025. Sources say that the Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter is out for the Monday Night Football after procedure on shoulders. That's right. He had not one, but both of his shoulders operated on last December, Nika. Just with some minor cleanup, I guess. I don't know, arthroscopic type stuff, because he was back for the playoffs, And so if you read this article, it says, he's considered, he wants to be as close to 100% as possible for the playoff run. That's crazy. That's December 4th. You're talking about playoffs that start in January, and he's having shoulder surgery on both his shoulders. That sounds like minor to me.
Yes.
Nevertheless,
minor.
That's got to be concerning, right? That a guy on his rookie contract is needing
2 shoulders,
both of his shoulders operated on, and I don't know if that's what's behind this or not.
It could be. You don't know what's going to happen later. Is that going to get aggravated more? Is you going to need another surgery? You just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things for the NFL players is just getting teams to invest in them if they've had an injury or
it's
any
devastating.
kind of significant setback at all, especially the younger they are, because then you start going like, oh, if he's only going to get older, he's going to break down even faster.
Well, at the end of the day,
they treat them like cars, everybody.
Yeah.
But they're not wrong either. Nevertheless, Jalen Carter would be an interesting pick for the Bears because they kind of passed on him in the draft already. And
if they passed on him in the draft, I don't see them getting him to be a Bear.
Yeah, I mean, that was a long time ago.
I know,
and things have changed and needs have changed.
True.
I think if the price is right, I would make the move.
Okay.
I would make the move. The defensive tackle position is not really all that this year in free agency. When I was talking about the Sports Illustrated articles earlier being so off, one of the biggest ones was at defensive tackle because one of the authors had John Franklin Myers in the conversation, listed as the second best option for the Bears. And, he had 8 sacks last year at the tackle position. It's just so hard to find a good tackle like a Tommy Harris or a Warren Sapp back in the day. It's just so hard to find these guys, and you just want a beast there. Of course, it makes everything else on your defense so much better and easier. Everything flows from the middle out, and from the front on back. So you could argue it's probably the most important position, even though edge rusher gets all the glory and fame because of the sacks.
Right.
But
it's more flashier.
You need it all. So John Franklin Myers is a name to keep an eye on in free agency for the Bears here. And also DJ Reader, also from the Lions. He's 31 years old. Could be more of that bargain bin shopping type thing. But again, I don't think any of these players, aside from Jalen Carter, would be looked at as a long-term solution at the position for the Bears. So I'd expect them to maybe even use their number 1 overall pick, if they still have it, on a defensive tackle.
Okay.
And that player could be starting next year.
I mean, this coming season, this year.
Yeah, in the 2026 season, right now. It's go time, baby.
All right.
All right. Well, that turns our attention to probably the most exotic position of rumor all off season for the Chicago Bears, the defensive edge rushing position, the defensive end. And Bleacher Report said,
must be true.
If not Trey Hendrickson, breaking down the Bears' other edge rusher options in free agency. This, of course, is on the heels of the news that Max Crosby was traded to the Baltimore Ravens on Friday night, breaking Bears hearts fans everywhere after watching him and Caleb bond on the Rush podcast. I digress. I'm joking. I jest. Look, I'm glad the Bears didn't give up 2 first-round draft picks for Max Crosby. And I'm glad, I'm glad that we have those picks, I guess, and that we didn't overspend it. Look, Trey Hendrickson is the next sexiest. One more time. Trey Hendrickson is the next sexiest option on the defensive edge rusher list, but this is a really deep position in this year's free agent class as well. So I want to warn ahead of time, Bears fans, not to get wrapped up too much in just one player, okay?
Okay.
So Bleacher Report had a really nice breakdown, and here are some of the other players that the Bears could go after here. One is Odafe Owa from the Chargers. And he is 27 years old. He's considered mid-tier, so he's not the big, sexy Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby, but he's considered mid-tier.
Okay.
And then we also have, I like this guy's name, Boye Mafe. And that is from the also Super Bowl champion Seahawks. He's also 27 years old, considered mid-tier. And I would also like to turn your attention to Jalen Phillips from the Philadelphia Eagles. Wouldn't that be something if Jalen Phillips and Jalen Carter got reunited on the Bears somehow? If the Eagles sent their defensive line to the Bears, that would be crazy, everybody.
And how old is he?
He is 26 years old.
Okay,
so you'd have Jalen Carter at how old? 24. And you'd have Jalen Phillips at 26.
Must have been a very popular name for parents to name their kids Jalen 25 years ago.
So those are considered the mid-tier options, according to Bleacher Report at least. And then we have kind of like the senior bargain bin, if you will.
Okay.
Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa is 30 years old. He was really good last year. He was ranked 17th out of 115 edge rushers, according to Pro Football Focus. And I do remember like being a little bit leery of the Bills signing him, and he actually did well.
Okay.
So I really wouldn't hate it if the Bears got him on a good price, honestly.
2 for 1?
Well, I don't know if they're going to be able to swing a 2-for-1 on any of these positions of need. But another name to look out for is Cameron Jordan. He is 36 years old, but he is from the Dennis Allen system. He is projected to cost only about $12 million versus like Trey Hendrickson's $30 million. And, he could be more of a stopgap type of a player, especially if you're planning on drafting more edge rushers this year in the draft.
Okay.
So, yeah, boy, oh boy, out of all of these, I think the Bears would be best spent probably going after Cameron Jordan, honestly. I know he's 36, but like if you get him on a 1 year, $12 million deal, and he knows Dennis Allen, he knows the system, he can just come in and work, and lead by example. And hopefully teach maybe Austin Booker and some of our other edge rushers on our roster a thing or two about what they're missing.
But also you can draft another one and you have somebody that can teach him, be a positive role model for the position for the younger up-and-coming players. Agreed.
Now, there is a wild card in all of this as well, and that is Kayvon Thibodeau, who is not a free agent, but he is sort of in a cluster of a situation with the New York Giants, who have too much talent on their defensive line and not enough snaps for him to play. And he might be more valuable to the Giants as a trade bait.
Okay.
So keep your eye on that. The Bears could make a trade still right now this week. There is going to be, some sore losers in free agency that will then turn to the trade market again and be like, well, what else is available?
Of course.
I'm looking at you, Tyson Bagent. We're not there yet.
Okay.
All right. Well, that is the defensive end position. And yeah, like I said, I think my choice here, if we are unable to get Trey Hendrickson, because I don't think the Bears should be afraid to spend with the way that the salary cap is going to keep increasing year after year after year. If they can make it work with a guy like Trey Hendrickson, I'm all for it. I'm all for Joey Bosa. I'm all for Cameron Jordan. But I do think they need to get one of these guys in the room this week.
Yeah.
Some kind of a presence.
I think they're going to get aggressive, really, with the free agency.
I do too. You have this small window with Caleb Williams, and we've talked about that, but they got to. All right, let's move to the middle of the field with the linebacking position. And, well, one of the guys I think the Bears should target is one of their own, DeMarco Jackson. He's not going to be terribly expensive because he wasn't on the field a whole lot last year. In fact, he didn't have enough snaps to get an overall ranking on Pro Football Focus. Yet I remember him being super impactful in some Bears games, including winning a Defensive Player of the Week award last year against the Browns, everybody. So DeMarco Jackson is a guy I think they should just keep in-house cheap and let him prove himself.
Okay.
He looked good to me last year. I don't know if he'll hold up over a whole 17-game season or not, but let's keep him in the building. Another couple of players are on the market from the Dennis Allen system, everybody. Alex Anzalone and Demario Davis from the New Orleans Saints. Alex Anzalone is from the Detroit Lions, so again, another Ben Johnson connection here. I saw a comment that he's kind of known as a dirty player around the NFL. You tell us, listeners, is this like Dennis Rodman dirty, or is this like Bill Laimbeer dirty? No. I need to know. And that's a Detroit reference as well, although it is basketball. Is it Ndamukong Suh dirty? Because that guy was dirty.
Okay. Well,
I want to know. I want to know real opinions, because I don't necessarily want that kind of player on our team. But if it's like CJ Gardner-Johnson, has a bad reputation, but not really, and just needs a better handling.
Mm-hmm. And unleash his
I'm all
potential.
for that on the Bears. Yeah. I think we've talked about how those kinds of players can come to the Bears and flourish.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all for those kinds of things. But yeah, both of those players, familiarity with Dennis Allen and his system, so I would keep an eye on those two names for sure. A couple of offbeat names to watch out, though, for in the linebacking crew. And one is Leo Chenal from the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm a big fan of getting players from the Kansas City Chiefs, especially after how well Joe Thuney did last year for the Bears. And, the Walrus over there, he's just a great coach.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid, of course, is who I'm talking about. But any player that you can get from the Chiefs, I don't necessarily think would be a bad pickup disciplinary wise, and would come in prepared as an employee and treat it like a job. So keep an eye on that name. A lot of people seem to think highly of his athleticism too. And again, not a lot of snaps, but we'll see. Devin Bush is also another name to keep an eye on, and he was on the Cleveland Browns. And don't shrug your shoulders at the Browns, everybody, because the Browns had a great defense last year, if you'll remember.
Number 3 defense.
So keep an eye on him. Devin Bush, linebacker. He is 27 years old. Keep an eye out.
Okay.
All right. Cornerback.
Else?
Let's move on to cornerback. There's a couple of names here to keep an eye on. One is Alontae Taylor, another former Dennis Allen system guy. He is with the Saints. He's an unrestricted free agent now. He could be a very easy fit, and especially when you talk about doing some exotic blitz packages and things like that. And the other guy I think we should keep is CJ Gardner-Johnson. I think we should target keeping him, actually, even though
he might be more pricey this time around.
Well, I know he had some like attitude concerns, but I think he really flourished with the Bears. I think the Bears need players like him with edge to them, on the football field. As long as they can keep it in between the lines,
right? Then
I want to keep him on the roster. He did nothing when he was in a Bears uniform to not make me like him at all.
Exactly.
I enjoyed almost every second of him being a part of the team. So I want him back, and I think they should get him back. He's a valuable piece of the team, edge-wise.
Okay.
All right, the last defensive position that we need to target is safety. And number one on the list is the captain, Kevin Byard III. I think we got to bring him back. He's 32 years old. I know that you can lose a step quickly at a position like that, but being that he was the captain, I think it's just too important to keep him in the building, keep him in the room, keep him part of the team. Don't you agree?
I 100% agree. I would be surprised if he doesn't get an extension or a contract, at least for another year.
I agree. Similarly, I guess I wouldn't be mad if somehow they kept Jaquan Brisker as well. Like, I don't think that they played that badly as a defensive duo. But it'll remain to be seen if that's even affordable or not to keep both of them there. Another guy that I wouldn't mind looking at is Nick Cross. He was actually second in snap count at safety last year, and he was number one in sacks with 3 at his position, and he was also number one in solo tackles. And when you're talking about safety, the last line of defense, I like a guy that can tackle. So keep an eye on Nick Cross's name coming to the Bears.
Okay. How tall is he?
He is 6 foot tall.
Oh, so he's a little taller.
That's what he's listed at.
Okay. All right. You want that safety to be a little taller. That's all.
A little bit taller.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the shopping list that I kind of came up with for the Bears after researching a lot of different articles and talking heads and, sensibilities, reality checks. Don't want to be like a doom and gloom kind of guy, but there's just, aside from Trey Hendrickson, I think the next biggest splash the Bears could make is Rashid Shaheed. I still stand by that from the beginning of the show more when we were talking about offense, but Ben Johnson's an offensive guy. We were all surprised when the Bears took Luther Burden III last year, a wide receiver.
And that was a great choice.
It was.